This is live.
Hello, everyone. If you're here, welcome to Real People, Real Perspectives. We're going to give everyone a couple minutes to get on, so just be patient. Hello, everyone. It's exactly 12 o'clock. We're going to give everyone a couple minutes here, and we're going to start the program at 12:03 today. I just want to welcome you. You're in the right place to Real People, Real Perspectives. Hi, everyone. Welcome to Real People, Real Perspectives. You are in the right place. We're just going to give everyone a couple minutes to get on, and we're going to start just in a few. Hello, everyone. If you're just joining us, we're going to start in about a little less than a minute here. Welcome to Real People, Real Perspectives. You're in the right place. We'll be getting started in just a moment. Hello, everyone. We're just going to get started in a couple minutes. We're just waiting till we get a couple more people on, and then we'll get started. You're in the right place. So, hello, everyone. Welcome to Real People, Real Perspectives. My name is Wendy Verna. I'm from Octo Design Group, and Octo is a marketing business that has had the pleasure of working with the Philadelphia Opportunity Zones team. Our work began with a marketing study, and that's where we heard that Philadelphia is extremely unique. It's unique in that we have a clear message of what we're seeking for our Opportunity Zone projects. So our Opportunity Zone team is excited about supporting all projects that align to our goals of inclusive growth. Next slide, Abby. So welcome to Real People, Real Perspectives. During this forum, you're going to have a chance to view 4 short videos of real people giving their real perspective regarding our Philadelphia neighborhoods. So in between, you're going to be prompted with a question, and I encourage you to answer that question in the chat. You can also network with one another through that exact chat feature. So we're excited to have Kathy Califano and John Monlock from the Opportunity Zone team, and they're going to be moderating that chat today for us. So we've also, in addition, initiated a poll to encourage additional participation during our time together. You're going to see the poll pop up, and we encourage you to answer the polls so we could get to know you better, and we could also make sure that we hear your voices. So don't worry if your comments and questions are not getting answered in the chat during this exact session. We will be sending you follow-up, and just in order to keep our conversation going. So now I'd like to introduce you to David Thomas. David Thomas is the president and CEO of the Philadelphia Housing and Development Corporation. Dave will be leading our discussion today, and through the chat, you're going to have the ability to ask him questions. The PHDC has over 120 employees that operate most of the city's rental relief and home production programs. And the PHDC is a 30-year plus full service community and economic development entity with an annual budget of $83 million. Since COVID, over 10,000 people have been assisted and over $31 million has gone out to help renters and more is underway. So Dave, I'm going to turn it over to you to tell us a little bit about your role and also PHDC's involvement in the Opportunity Zone space. Next slide.
Thank you, Wendy. Appreciate the introduction. As Wendy pointed out, I'm the president and CEO of the Philadelphia Housing Development Corporation. In that role, obviously, my responsibility is to facilitate opportunities throughout Philadelphia in the community development sector, which include various different things such as housing, job creation, as well as just investment in our small businesses here in Philadelphia. Right now, I wanted to give an opportunity to hear from Calvin and Marilyn Clark, and we'll see what Calvin and Marilyn Clark have to say. But before that, I just wanted to introduce Calvin and Marilyn Clark because Calvin and Marilyn have been great partners with Philadelphia Housing Development Corporation, as well as just great business partners in Philadelphia. So let's hear from Calvin and Marilyn and see what they have to say.
Good morning, I'm Calvin Clark.
And I'm Marilyn Clark of Clark Roofing.
A little bit about me. I came to Philadelphia in 2002 and I immediately was able to get a contract with PHDC. Once I got that contract, I was able to have full-time employees for the first time in my career. And I have been steadfast working at it ever since. Go ahead.
And I believe Clark Roofing has been an integral part of the revitalization of the city through working with PHDC. Residents are provided so many programs to assist them in staying in their homes and live very meaningful lives.
Yes.
We have put on thousands of roofs through the city through the years and have seen the gratefulness of the people.
Yes.
This journey has been great professionally, personally, and financially here in Philadelphia. We have watched the city develop, and even through the Opportunity Zone, we are looking forward to seeing and being a part of the changes that are here to come in the city.
That's great. Next slide. So everyone, here's our first question. And again, I encourage you to answer this question in the chat so we can all discuss. So what can the Opportunity Zone team do to support local contractors and developers to be part of neighborhood change? And so Dave, I was going to ask you, while everyone's answering that question, how does PHDC support contractors' growth over time? And then after you speak about that, I'd like to hear a little bit more about the PHDC's home repair program.
Yeah, as Calvin and Marilyn pointed out, you know, he's one of over 100 contractors that we have contracts with in Philadelphia. And we have a long history of working with small businesses in Philadelphia, and not only working with small businesses, but giving opportunity for those businesses to grow. In our efforts, we try to give opportunity to small businesses through our home repair program that you just talked about, Marilyn. Wendy. Our programs are designed to provide opportunities for these small businesses for wealth building, but also for collaboration with other small businesses. And what we found over the years is that we've built a pretty strong network among our contractors. And in fact, we've actually done a few job training fairs that help the job growth in Philadelphia as well. So we're very proud of that. But now working with the Opportunity Zone team, we're looking at even further growth. We want to see housing and services people need in their neighborhoods flourish. We want to focus our attention in areas that may be overlooked by developers because we know that there are a lot of areas in Philadelphia that need development. And we want to ensure that we support businesses working in the communities today. So our purpose right now is to be a facilitator and to try to help develop and grow the city of Philadelphia.
Thank you, Dave. John, is there any, I saw that there's a bunch of comments in the chat. Is there anything that you wanted to elaborate on?
Yeah, there's actually a lot of good comments. I'm just going to give you one or two that I'll get back to them. If there's questions, I'll answer them. But a couple good points. Help investors with money ready to place, identify good projects, and also provide contractors for developers to use. And some of that might be in the Commerce Department, but it might also be something in PHDC.
Yeah, I would agree. I think this is where we come in as a networking opportunity for a lot of our small businesses.
Great. Next slide. Dave, did you have anything further, or John, anything further before we move on that you wanted to touch base with?
There is another good comment about coordinating sessions with PHDC, PIDC, and LISC to, have more resource discussions and assistance to try to put all the pieces together, which I think is a great comment. And there's other ones.
Absolutely.
I'm going to stop there.
Absolutely. I think those are great comments, and which quite honestly leads to our next panelist.
Terrific. Next slide. Dave, did you want to just introduce Anthony real quick?
Yeah, our next panelist is Anthony Fullard. And Anthony, as I said earlier, I've been talking to a lot of folks throughout the last several months, especially during this pandemic, because we really need to start reimagining the world when we get through this pandemic. And Anthony has been very instrumental in helping us guide our decisions and our thoughts going forward. So Anthony Fullard is a developer who basically has helped us redevelop an area that was historically undevelopable, if you will, until Anthony and his team came along and proved us wrong.
Okay, let's hear from Anthony.
Hi, my name is Anthony Fullard, president of West Powelton Development Corporation. We specialize in workforce and affordable and market rate housing. We believe in our mission is to develop affordable housing and market rate housing together. We believe that they can coexist. And the reason why we believe that, because we have accomplished that in many areas around the city of Philadelphia, specifically West Philadelphia, around the 6200 block of Osage and Pine was one of our developments of 36 homes that we were able to construct and to complete and to sell at a affordable rate of price points around $269 per unit. We have taken that model around the city in other parts of West Philadelphia. We also are looking to do some mix, as I said, again, market rate and affordable housing being able to be developed and constructed in a footprint approximately about 10 units to 20 units that will be able to make that work, where the market rate home buyer and the affordable home buyer can coexist in a development together.
Terrific. So our next question, and thank you all for your questions prior, is what else can the Opportunity Zone team do to support the production of housing? So I encourage you all to answer that question so we can keep this conversation going. But Dave, what does the PHDC do to support affordable and market rate housing? If you could speak a little bit.
Yes, so That's a very good question, Wendy. Historically, PHDC has provided subsidy to support the creation and development of housing in Philadelphia. Unfortunately, the federal dollars that we've used historically have all to some degree started to fade away. So we've had to reimagine and rethink how we're going to do much of what we need done in the city of Philadelphia. So what we're trying to do right now is come up with ways in which we can utilize the tools that are in our toolbox. And you'll probably hear us say that often because we do have, when we consolidated our organizations here, we created a situation that gave us opportunities to think way outside the box that we never had previously. So we're looking at capital, trying to figure out ways in which we can create capital for investors or for developers and contractors by bringing in investors, I should say. We obviously have land, and we have to start thinking about ways in which we can utilize that land rather than just selling the land. Maybe we need to do equity partnerships. Maybe we need to start thinking about other ways in which we can utilize the investments that we have to help facilitate the growth that Philadelphia so sorely needs.
And John, is there anything that you wanted to comment on? I see some really good comments in here in the chat.
Yeah, there's a lot of great comments, and I'm having trouble keeping up, to be honest. I'm answering a lot of them. A lot of it has to do with coordination. A lot of it has to do with land. A lot of it has to do with residents. And I know we're going to talk about it later, but a lot of these things are things that are on our website right now. Some of them are actually good ideas that I think we can work into our website. There's a couple things that we do have and there's a couple things that we don't have. And I think those are things that we can take offline and discuss. And Dave, just to clarify, your land is all managed by Land Bank, correct?
Our land is all managed by Land Bank, but we have partnerships with other city agencies such as PHA, and obviously the city of Philadelphia is public property. So we should be the first stop in terms of trying to facilitate any acquisition of public inventory, I would say.
Abby, can we go on to the next slide? And John, and I also want to make sure that everyone knows that if your question is not specifically answered, we will be sending a follow-up to this forum, which will encourage this conversation to keep going. So don't worry if your specific question wasn't answered. Next slide. I'm going to let Dave introduce Lorraine Drake, and you could take it from here.
Yes. So as I spoke about earlier, my efforts to try to figure out what the city can do to help developers, I've met Lorraine Drake. She and her husband have been doing development in Philadelphia, and quite honestly, I had not heard of Ms. Drake until recently. And I think that there's a great story behind what the Drakes are doing and how we can try to figure out ways in which we can help the Drakes facilitate more and find more folks like Lorraine and her husband. So let's hear what Lorraine has to say.
Hi, everybody. My name is Lorraine Wilson Drake, and my company is Wilson Drake Development. We're located in South Philadelphia, and we build small apartment buildings throughout the city. We currently have 4 sites in the Wayne Junction neighborhood of Germantown. And as you know, that's one of 80 opportunity zones in Philadelphia. We've been investing in these neighborhoods for over 20 years. It's really sort of key to what we do. And so one of the reasons why I feel like we decided that this is our investment strategy is because we find that this is where our small company can have the greatest impact. So number one, we found a way to do this profitable because when you go into these communities, you're generally able to buy land at a pretty reasonable cost. And number two, we find that our developments have real significant impact in the city. So the city has about 40,000 vacant lots. And when we develop one of these lots, we're impacting crime, we're impacting safety, we're impacting the desirability of the neighborhood. And then lastly, we find that there is a huge demand for what we do. So the population in Philadelphia has been increasing, a lot of young millennials coming into the city, and not everyone can afford to live in a high-rise luxury building. So the market that we serve is really in desperate need of additional housing. at a price point that they can afford. So that's what we do. So by developing in opportunity zones, we win because, we've been able to do this and stick around for 20 years. The neighborhood wins in terms of crimes and safety. The tenant wins in terms of having a great place to live. And certainly the city of Philadelphia wins.
Terrific. On to the next slide. So we'd like you to answer this question. On to question 3. How can a city help facilitate the growth of quality housing to all neighborhoods? So Dave, we see here that some developers have been extremely successful in developing in underinvested neighborhoods. What can a city be doing to help other developers achieve this success?
That's a very good question, and so let me go further. When I met Ms. Drake and a few other folks, we talked about what can we do to help further what they've already begun. And one of the things that we're trying to figure out is ways in which we can provide the, if you will, the non-traditional capital that typically is unavailable for Black and brown developers and contractors. I mean, we're looking at obviously low interest loans that obviously aren't out there in many cases, but we're also talking about credit enhancements and other tools that we can use to try to facilitate the growth opportunities that folks like the Drakes are interested in doing. So we do have a credit enhancement product that we rolled out last year that's tied to our public land. It's been moderately successful, and we're trying to figure out ways in which we can expand upon that experience. And as I told you before, we're also trying to figure out other ways in which we can help utilizing our land, whether it be an equity partnership. Philadelphia Housing Development Corporation is a nonprofit. It is a development entity. It used to develop housing, but again, we lead that to the private sector, and we're trying to figure out ways in which we can help bridge a lot of the gaps that the private sector have. So gap financing is another. Most recently, we put together an accelerator fund that we're looking to roll out come the beginning of the year, January, February, where it's more operational, where we're providing, like I said, non-traditional financing to developers and contractors. And we're trying to emphasize most of our efforts in undeserved areas, as well as for small businesses that are Black and brown, but more importantly, local. And we're trying to obviously focus our attentions on the needs of creating affordable housing, because I think that is something that Philadelphia is in dire need of.
Terrific. Thank you so much. That was a great answer. John, is there any, I saw a couple really great questions that came across. Is there
Yeah, there's a lot of great stuff in the chat. And I'm still doing my best to try to keep up. Dave, I guess one question for you is just to clarify the best ways for folks to partner and work with PHDC. And another point that I'm not going to ask you to address, I think it's a great question, and it's something that's probably going to come up in our next seminar with the Commerce Director about a strong plan for community commercial corridors and all things related to infrastructure. And I know Karen is in the audience. She can't speak, but she will probably have more of a role in the next one. And so I think that's a question for later. But for you, Dave, partnering with PHDC.
And when you say partnering with PHDC, John, are you making reference to nonprofits or developers? Is that what you're making? What are you making?
Yeah, I think anybody that wants to either do business with you, either through land,
okay,
through contracts that you have for basic systems repairs or any other programs that you have, how can you work with the development community, the investor community, the folks that need land, anything that how do you relate to the development community?
Got it. Thank you, John. Most of our opportunities, and this is going to sound like a broken record because we in government sound like broken records often. Most of our opportunities are listed on our webpage, phdchousing.org. But again, I certainly am very much accessible to to most folks. Surprisingly, I actually converse and meet with people often to try to give them the guidance and the help that they need. And I certainly can provide the same tools and resources and point you in the right direction. But more importantly, RFPs are often posted on our website. Land deals, again, the land bank, I saw a question in the chat where land bank was consolidated. Land bank was consolidated under PHDC, so you'll find many of the opportunities for acquiring land on my website as well as opportunities for financing and funding available through City of Philadelphia subsidy programs. What you won't find on my website is what we just talked about in terms of the accelerator fund and things of that. But what we will do is make sure that there is some level of connection and link so that we ensure that people are not losing out on opportunities when we create these things. And more importantly, what we'll be doing is what we've been working on is creating a network that gives you an opportunity to see what's available at PHDC and through the City of Philadelphia. So PHDC Phila.org is the website. Again, that's PHDC Phila, PHILA.org.
And thank you, Kathy, for putting that in the chat so everyone will be able to get that link. Next slide. So Dave, I'm going to let you introduce the next Zaid, and Zaid could take it from there.
Yep. So Zaid, much like what we've been talking about, and where I would like to see the growth of Philadelphia. Zaid is a prime example of a small business that has grown exponentially over the years working with PHDC. And I believe Zaid and his organization is one of those organizations that could be ready to move to the next level of doing affordable housing development. And I'd like to see these things happen over a course of period. And let's see what Zaid has to say, because I think that Zaid is a very good example of what we're trying to achieve in Philadelphia.
My name is Zaid Babali Bey, President CEO of Atkins Management. We're a general contracting company, family-owned business that's been in business for 27 years. We've been serving the city of Philadelphia for 27 years with the focus of keeping our clients in the home and touching every corner and cobblestone throughout the city of Philadelphia. It's very important for us working with the city of Philadelphia that we get a chance to really give back and touch the community by providing these services to those who may not be able to otherwise receive the help that they need to stay in their house. We work with Philadelphia Housing Development Corporation and a host of other city programs, which really allow us to serve the community and provide a really great social impact. I think if there were a centralized location in which, a smaller general contractor that may not have the manpower or the capital or opportunity to work on, larger projects that require scale, could see what's happening in Philadelphia, what projects are coming up for, opportunity, and maybe be paired or partnered with some of these larger contracting firms. And, maybe a city can have a point where they say, hey, these guys have been thoroughly vetted. They've worked with the city of Philadelphia for, X amount of years. We trust their work, and kind of maybe just bridge that gap to start the conversation. That would be great.
Terrific. Next slide. So this question is, have you considered the Opportunity Zone program as a tool to help enhance your project? And I'd like to take it even just a little bit further, instead of it being a yes or no answer, and it was to just tell us why. And so Dave, one of the OZ's inclusive growth goals, as you know, is to support minority and immigrant-owned developers. And I know you spoke a little bit about this before. So what role, in addition to what you've already mentioned, can the city play in building the network for minority contractors and developers? And you spoke a little bit about that networking piece maybe you can just embellish a little bit on that.
Right. So we're trying to what I see for Philadelphia and where I see our role in being that facilitator. As Zaid pointed out in that video, we have a great deal of knowledge of the ability of these contractors, their capacity and their skill set, and we need to figure out how we parlay that into opportunities that go way beyond smaller jobs that they've been doing for years. So, like Zaid is saying, in the conversations that I've had with folks, um, a lot of times folks don't know who's in the same arena. So we believe if we put together a network that basically shares our contractor list along with other partners like Brandywine, I believe they have a list of contractors out there, and various other stakeholders and partners throughout the city of Philadelphia, we believe we can put together a very robust group of folks who can certainly figure out how to partner together where they would never have been able to do so previously. What I learned when we did a job training program, I mean, it was amazing how much contractors didn't know about some of the job training opportunities in order for them to fill to build their capacity with their employment base. And that was eye-opening to us because quite honestly, a lot of these small businesses have difficulty finding employees. And if they don't know where to go, how can they grow? And that is the same concept for me when we're talking about trying to get contractors working with developers and developers growing out of the small space that they've been in. It's all about networking, finding peer-to-peer opportunities for financing, figuring out how collectively we work together to make one strong organization. So for instance, Zaid is a very strong GC, find a very strong developer, the two of them collectively can be a force. And we need to build a lot of those organizations like that in Philadelphia. And I think that's where Philadelphia has missed the opportunity over the years.
Thank you. And John, did you maybe want to pull some of these comments out of the chat just for a couple minutes?
Yeah, sure. So
and
Dave,
one thing I did want to add, John, real quick. I'm sorry because I did see one thing and I wanted to qualify because the question came up. What is the definition of affordable housing? And historically, affordable housing in Philadelphia has been, as we all know, under the federal regs, 80% and below and things of that nature. But what we're looking at is affordable housing that goes up to 120% of median income. So we're looking at a much larger group of affordable need because we do have a lot of people who are, I'm going to call them working stiff, people who work every day but don't necessarily have the opportunity to benefit with the programs that we offer.
great.
I'm sorry, John.
And on that note, just to contrast that with our affordable housing bonus, which was mentioned by one of the speakers, they mentioned the code section that was adopted in 2018. We actually require affordability at the 50 or 60%, your option for the bonus, or you pay in based on a formula of money for the 50 or 60% bonus. So there's a lot of different levels throughout the city that can get a little bit confusing. Dave, a lot of the comments, and I'm certainly missing the last minute or two, and there's a lot more in there, and I apologize, I'll get back to the chat, but they have to do with land. And I think, maybe it's an Angel question, Angel Rodriguez in your group, but I know that there's been changes to the disposition policy that allow for reduced land costs related to building affordable housing. I guess a couple questions, just how is that working? What has been the timeline? Are you still working out kinks? Where would you say that you are in improving that process? And what can folks expect to get if they're going to commit to doing affordable housing?
Yeah, great question, John. And let me start by saying we're continuously trying to improve that process. So it has not been perfected as of yet. So I'm not going to sit here and fool people to think that it is. One of the things that we believe we're trying to achieve, obviously, as I told you before, we don't have dollars to subsidize development. So one of the tools in the toolbox is the conveyance of land at nominal. If people are committed to building affordable housing, and I believe that ratio is 51% of the development has to be affordable housing. Please don't quote me because that seems to be a moving target. Every time I turn around, the rules for conveying land tend to change. But those are the opportunities that we're talking about. So if folks are looking at building in Philadelphia, and a lot of times because we're not providing subsidy in terms of cash, we're looking at people to do mixed projects, you know, a bit of affordable with a market rate. Obviously, I'll just make up an example. In many cases, possibly your ratio is 3 to 1, 3 market to 1 affordable, things of that nature, in order for you to subsidize the cost of building that affordable unit, so that we can convey it or sell it or actually rent it to a population that is in desperate need of housing. We have multiple things going on, and yes, the land bank still has a lot of challenges in front of it in terms of getting the process done smoothly and fast. But I will tell you that my staff is very much committed to getting it done. And if you have challenges, please don't hesitate reaching out to me, and we will figure it out. I don't want to make anything up for folks.
Terrific. John, we have time for maybe one more comment that we would like to address.
Well, I think one of the comments that I don't think Dave can address, but it's been asked one or two different ways, and I think it's a great question, which is how do we highlight successful projects? And I think we have to work on that. And I know Ken mentioned a bunch of stuff in Wayne Junction, and there's a number of projects there. And there's many of them all over the city. And I think we need to think about how do we get the word out on the success stories that we're seeing that are consistent with our goals, the role that we played. But again, probably not necessarily a question for Dave. So I don't have anything else to add or ask. I still have to go back over a lot of the chat. There's definitely a couple that flew up too quick for me to see, but
Sure.
we'll follow up.
And again, we will be following up with everyone. Next slide. We'll be following up with everyone with a short little survey. So we'll be able to keep the conversation going. Next slide. So I just want to make sure that we don't finish without making sure that we mention that we launched a new OZ website, and it's philaopportunityzones.org. And the site provides information and resources. It also allows you to connect to all the acronyms, the PHDC, the PIDC, the DBT programs, commerce, all their programs and services. And it's a place where you can get blogs, you can get quick links to our social platforms, and you can gather all types of information on programs that complement OZ incentives. Next slide. So I'd like to invite all of you to connect with us on social media. We're posting regularly on LinkedIn, Twitter, and Facebook. We would love to see you there. We would love to hear from you there. So make sure that you like us and follow us. Next slide. So Dave, I just want to finish up with you. If you have any last minute comments, and then we'll be able to conclude our program today.
No, I want to thank everybody for taking the time to join us this afternoon. Certainly want to thank Octo for putting this together. And I look forward to our continued forums. We still have 2 more remaining for our business owners and our stakeholders. So if folks would be so kind as to join us on January 12th for our 3rd forum, moderated by Michael Rashad. And on January 26th, we have our last forum with Ann Nevins, our partner over at our PIDC agency, our sister agency at PIDC. So I hope that you all found this informative. Please feel free to reach out to me, my staff, at any time. If you have any questions, I am certainly available and certainly do not have problems with trying to assist anyone at any time with anything. So I look forward to seeing everybody on the 12th, and enjoy your day. Stay warm.
Thank you all. And that concludes our program for today. Thanks.
And if it's possible, Abby, if you could leave the meeting open for a couple minutes, I want to follow up with a couple folks right now. Even though we'll look, it'll just be easier for me to just finish my questions that I'm answering.
Thank
Is that
you.
okay?
Yep.
I'm sure it's okay. I'll take that as a yes. But everybody
Good
else
to
is
go. You can I'll keep it open.
okay. People that want to drop off can drop off. Thanks.
Great. Thank you, everyone.
Who, Dave?
Yep.
Who controls the housing trust fund exactly? I know it's a board, but like, how would you describe it? Is it part of PHDC or no?
Housing Trust Fund Board. And I would say Melissa Long.
Okay, so that's more city.
Yes.
John, it's an advisory board.
Okay.
I'm responding to the one about webinars. We will be making them. Are we still on? Folks can't hear us, right?
Nope, everyone can hear you.
Yeah, everyone. There's
Okay.
very few people, but yeah, there's.
I'm just saying that the webinars will be posted. We're just not ready to do it yet. We haven't built that web page out.
You have a lot of questions to answer?
Yeah, and a matter of fact, there's only like 10 people in, so I'm just gonna, rather than type, Dave just answered the question about the housing trust fund. It's controlled by the city, it's advisory, and the money is accounted for and segregated, and they put out reports, I assume, at least once a year, right, Dave?
Quarterly.
Quarterly reports on the housing trust fund.
Right, but that's managed by the Department of Planning and Development, not PHDC.
Correct.
Yes.
Is there a,
I meant to post that last one too.
Kathy, if you have a link to the housing trust fund report, I mean, if it's
Yeah.
that might be easiest, because I think that would answer a lot of questions.
John, you have the report for the
Affordable housing bonus.
affordable housing bonus.
Yeah, I could look for that. It's on my on our website.
I'm pulling both of them in.
Oh, all right. You got both of them?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, we're starting to work on our next one. We have to wait for the year to end before we finish it.
Is that me?
I don't know who that is. I hope it's not me, because I thought I silenced. Oh no, it is me. Hold on. Sorry. I thought I silenced everything. I don't know how to silence Teams. That's a tough one. Thank you, Kathy. All right, I think we're good for now. Dave, I'm sorry, you didn't have to hang in there.
We're good?
Yeah.
All right.
Thanks. It went great, guys.
All right. Thanks a lot.
Bye.
Abby, I think you could probably shut it down now if you want. Once you shut it down, Abby, could people still, they can't get to those links, right?
No, but I'm saving the chat and they can take
If that's the case, maybe just leave it up for a little bit in case folks want to click on them or copy and paste. Yeah, so Nina was asking about, yeah, just give them a minute to copy. They
Here,
can
just
click on it. I don't know if they can copy it, but they can click on it.
if anyone sends questions to the OZ,
Yeah, yeah, I guess that's a good point. If you
yeah, I'm just gonna
happen
put
to
the,
cut you off, Bernice, Nina, anybody else still on, opportunity zones at phila.gov, and we'll follow up.
I have to spell to be able to.
Yeah, it's hard. It's, you know, you type as fast as you can type. Oh, good. All right, Nina saved hers. And the link for this event will go to everybody that participated? Is that fair to say? Amanda, or if you're still on, do you know?
I'm on, but I'm on the phone, John.
Okay. Will the link go to everybody that participated?
The link for what?
This event?
We have to build the web page and then we're gonna put them on the web page. So that's still,
It'll be on the Opportunity Zone webpage.
it'll be on the Opportunity Zone website as soon as we build that page.
Very good.
Yep. All right, guys, I'm gonna hop out. If anybody needs me, just text me. Call
Great.
me,
Thank
email me.
you.
Thank you, John. Amazing.
Thank you,
job
everyone.
today. Yeah, amazing.
Yeah, Kathy, your link.
Did it go? Oh, no. What
No,
happened?
I could put it in.
Shoot. Oh, you know what? Because I had typed in questions in the middle.
Yeah.
You gotta make sure.
Or our website, Opportunity Zones at phila.gov. Thanks, everybody. Have a good day.